show you kind of what I'm doing here. I'm starting a new painting. I have a large canvas here. It is a 30 by 40, and on here, I don't know if you can see it, where I'm adding texture. I don't know if you can see that very well or not, but what I'm using is an adhesive. I'm not using plaster or any of that kind of stuff. I'm using an adhesive and a squeegee and putting an adhesive on. Now this adhesive will have to dry for 24 hours before I can start painting on it. The reason I use an adhesive first instead of plaster, because plaster has a tendency to flake off if the canvas gets moved or anything like that. So I'll just use this adhesive, which stays semi-pliable once it dries. And I'm intentionally leaving marks and stuff in there so that it has a more depth when I'm finished with the painting. But I'm just going to finish smoothing all of this out, and then I'll let it dry, and we'll start with the next step. So I got the first layer of this down, and it's beginning to dry. I'm about to use this here. It foams up, waterproof, becomes really hard and rigid, and I'm going to put it kind of on the outside. Again, another 3D texture depth deal that works really well for me. So it will also have to cure for 24 hours before I can paint on it. But I'll show you how it looks when it's all foamed up and dry before I paint it. I'm just, again, making texture. I think this is kind of turning into maybe like almost a cave. I'm thinking a cave painting where this great foaming glue will almost make it look like I'm painting on a cave wall. I think it'd be pretty neat, but you can kind of see the I don't know if you can see it or not, but I'm trying to make sure there's no straight lines with the glue. This is my dry picture. I know it's kind of hard to see in the dark. I've started putting a little bit of black on. I'm using spray paint. You can see the texture really good here, maybe. And I'm just putting the black on because it gets down into the crevices really well before I do an actual brush coating. I just want to make sure I get all the little crevices covered in paint really well. Then it'll look cool how it wraps around the corner. Getting excited looking at this. So I'm going to start putting on some black again. I'm using just a black spray paint gloss, and we'll keep going from the steps from there. Blue, red, and white is what I'm going to be doing for this one. You can see how cool, textured, and bubbly and crackly it looks. So, get a purple, then I go back in and layer on top with the straight colors. A little red, and then slightly feather it out. Now I'm going to go back over top of all this great texture stuff later with black again and make sure it pops out. So I'm going to do this to this entire canvas, and then we'll see how it looks. Now with a nice fluffy brush and some black paint on there, it's kind of a dry paint almost, I put it on my palette and then take a bunch of it off. I am just going over the top of all of my raised areas. See how I kind of tucked in like some little gold, like nuggets looking things? And just getting those black parts, the raised parts with my brush. And I'm going to continue for the entire thing. You can see how it's starting to look. Now that I've got all of the black rock matrix part finished, I am going to take some micro glass beads with a luster finish from Martha Stewart and some glue, and I'm going to just dab in some areas very lightly and then add the beads. Whoop. These won't be noticeable from a distance. Now these will all come off in a second. They're not all stuck down. And only the people that take the time to actually investigate this painting will see these awesome little beads stuck in here. So, like I said, most of these come off in a little bit. There's just going to be a few stuck down. And let me get that going around here. The beads are now dry on the little crevices where I added them. My next step to add some more randomness to it is to take my airsoft gun filled with paintballs of kind of the same color as the glass beads and splatter them onto this canvas in random areas, just to add again some more of that color to work it into the painting. I don't know if you can see it very well from here, but I do have a couple of the splats of the paintball. Again, just another way to add some of that color into the actual painting at a truly random fashion. What I'm doing now is I have some brown paint with some pearl powder in it, mixed in with again some water, thin it down to kind of make a glaze. You can see I've done it on this section here already, just adding some more brown in the pearl. I haven't done it to this section yet, so I don't know if you can see the difference very well in the video or not. But I just apply the glaze and then dab over it with my rag. My last two steps for this painting before I get some finished photos is I'm going to take some gold spray paint and spray it to the side and just get some little spots on there. And since there's so many layers of paint, once I put the final coating on, it almost seems like they're floating, which is really cool. So again, I'm not pointing it at the painting, I'm just pointing it to the side of the painting and letting them fall onto the painting. My last step now before I sign it is to put a crystal clear acrylic coating onto this. It really helps all of my little beads that I have on there, the texture stay, help it quit cracking, because I think I've kind of got the level of cracking that I like the best. So I'm going to spray on my acrylic coating and then I'm going to sign it with a inkwell pen, just because I think that's kind of my touch, is to sign stuff with an inkwell pen. But I'll have some finished photos for you in just a second.